So when you're doing sort of Sharia advisory or Islamic finance and when lending and investment is involved, I think the main reason that people look for it is for the ethical side of things. It's really, the Islamic ruling is if you've lent money, you can't make profit off it. So for example, if I've given you £1,000, I can only take £1,000 back. And it's quite a big thing religiously that is, something that can't be done. So in this country, it's normal, mortgages, loans where it's interest bearing. Islamically, we're not allowed to operate under them circumstances. So really, as a Muslim myself, I think it's something that I looked into. We were sort of speaking to other Muslims that are in business that are looking to work in a Sharia compliant way, and I learned a lot more about it and realised that there's a massive gap in the market, in sort of representation, support, something that's really missing in the industry. So I had a conversation with Gavin, and it's something that we really want to take forward and provide. So we're helping now with providing Islamic finance, whether it's a debt facility. So there's different products and options where it's a shared risk rather than a dominant risk where a business takes out a loan and regardless of what happens, you're paying that interest. It's more based around profit and sort of more of an ethical way of lending. And the easiest option is investment, which is the easiest way to go. It's not lending, it's an investment, and it's definitely a shared risk from investor and the business that it's going into. And then the other flip side is actually finding investable opportunities that comply with the religious rulings. So it's not putting things forward where there's, for example, alcohol or gambling or adult entertainment with opportunities that are ethical. Easiest option is property. We're doing quite a bit in property, so it's just much easier to do property. Bricks and mortar, they're not gonna sort of cause problems with the religious side of things, is because the guys that are looking to invest may want to make good returns, but for them the more important part is it doesn't interrupt their disturb their faith and disrupt their way of living. So they're happy to wait a little bit longer to find the right opportunity rather than invest in something that could cause problems religiously. I think the majority is around ethics. I think there's a lot of untapped wealth as well. I think when it comes to a Sharia compliant investment opportunity, if you have an opportunity and you need the money for it, there's a lot of people that are already trying to get money from the banks and the loan system and even other investors, whereas the Islamic wealth is quite untapped because they don't have enough opportunities to put the money in. So maybe it can come across as a lot easier to get, and then the sort of way of working and the rules around it, there's less chance of you then ending up in debt and having a problem with paying stuff back, and there's a lot less pressure to it. Whereas if you've taken out a bank loan and there's heaps of interest on it, it's really expensive, you're then under threat of losing your business, losing property. There's a load of issues that are negated through Islamic finance. And then a lot of people will come to us as well who are Muslim, who are looking to stay Sharia compliant because there isn't really a massive amount of support. The bigger firms don't really do it, and if they do, it's not a major priority for them. And for us, for myself, it's going to be a key focus. So that sort of that USP in essence is that we've got the expertise, and it's not just a sideline or an afterthought. It's actually a key focus, and we will ensure that all the rules are followed. So I'm part of a network which is partnering up with GJC, and they have a Sharia board which approves transactions. So it's actually genuine Sharia approved. We're not cutting corners. Everything's going to go through a third party to make sure that it's all done compliant. So there's that safety as well of, yeah, it is compliant, and it's not just us saying it's compliant. it can be huge. It's we're not entirely sure because there's not been a massive amount done. I was in the Middle East, and so we all know the amount of money that's floating around there. But in the UK, Islamic finance isn't a huge deal at the moment. There's very few businesses. There's a couple that have just come out. There is an Islamic bank, but there's not a massive uptake on the finance because it's quite expensive. So there is new products and new ideas coming into the market, and it's quite it's early days and it's untested waters. So, but the investment side of thing is quite big, and there's a lot of opportunity there. We're just not sure how big that opportunity is, how big it's going to be. There is a lot of demand, but there's not been much done about it for us to really measure anything.